Hi folks, this is Vicki at Pattern Princess, and I wanted to show you how to work the stitches for this really pretty blanket. It's just a little cute baby blanket I made, and it's just using 3 yarn colors, and it's not going to be, well, it's going to be 2 skeins of each color. I think that it might be more than 2 of the sandbar, but for sure the alabaster and the, oh gosh, breathe. This is called breathe. It's certainly not going to be 2 skeins because this is what I have left over on the second skein. And then I'm using a Wander yarn from Furls with a size I, 5.5 millimeter hook. This is a medium weight yarn, and it's 100% acrylic, and there's 120 yards, I believe, yes, 120 yards per skein. And you wouldn't think it would go very far, but gosh, I've made this nice little baby blanket that's, I think it's going to be about 28 by 34 inches when I get done. I'll know for sure. I'll take measurements before I write the pattern up and have it on the website. But I'm going to show you how to do this stitch. It's called the straight box stitch. And you may have seen it if you saw the sea glass baby blanket that's a little bit more for a boy. I had made that blanket and previously, and I'm just using different colors and making it using the colors in a little bit different stitch pattern. And my yarn is all tangled up here. Sorry about that. I'm going to try and show you, but it's all tangled. But anyways, I wanted to show you in different colors and how wide you can make the colors. The other blanket I had, I think, 2 rows between the color changes, and this one it's 4. But I'll have all those details on the website for you. The straight box stitch is worked in multiples of 4. I have a beginning chain here of 20. So the pattern itself is a repeat of row 2. Okay, so we're going to get going here. So when you count stitches, you don't count the stitch on your hook, but we're going to work in the 4th stitch. We're going to skip 3. 1, 2, 3. Those are the 3. Here's the 4th one. We're going to do 3 double crochet in that 4th chain. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over, bring it through, and yarn over, go through 2 loops, and yarn over through 2 loops. The first 3 that you skipped counts as a double crochet, and this here counts as a double crochet. We're going to work 2 more double crochet right in the same stitch. So we yarned over, insert your hook, yarn over, bring it through, and yarn over, bring it through 2 loops. One more time. Yarn over through 2 and through 2. Okay, so our first little cluster is done. Now we're going to skip 3. 1, 2, 3. In the 4th chains. 1, 2, 3, 4. In that 4th chain, we're going to single crochet. And this is actually the straight box stitch right here that I'm going to be working. And then we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. Then we're going to work 3 more double crochet right in that same stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook, and bring it through, and yarn over and go through 2 loops. 2 loops. We got to do that 2 more times. There's the second one. And this little stitch cluster here, we're going to work all the way across now. So every 4th stitch. So we're going to skip 1, 2, 3. In the 4th, we're going to work our single crochet. And then chain 2. 1, 2. Yarn over and go through there, the stitch, and do our 3 double crochet. There's 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're going to do this again. 1, 2, 3. 4th stitch, we're going to do our single crochet, our chain 2, 1, 2, and then our 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and in the very last stitch right here, we're just going to work a single crochet. And row 1 is done. See how simple that was? This is how we look so far with row 1. That's all there is to it. You got some nice little scallops starting. Then we're going to turn it. And here you have the option. I gotta get my right yarn. Here you have the option of chaining 2 to begin or chaining 3. I chose to chain 2 so that there's not as much of a pucker when I'm working the first stitches. So I chain 2, 1, 2. Yarn over in the same space down here. You could either work in this little space down here, but I chose to work right here, okay? I think it looks nicer. We're going to do 3 double crochet right here. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to skip these 3 double crochet, and we're going to work inside of the space here, and we're going to work around this chain 2. So we're going to work around the chain 2 into this space. So we're going to do our single crochet just like we did before. The straight box stitch is our single crochet, chain 2, and then our 3 double crochet right in this space. 1, 2, 3. You see how that's looking now? Now we're going to skip these 3 and go to the next space and work our single crochet, chain 2, and then our 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to skip our next 3, go skipping over here to our space and work around our chain 2. So it's a single crochet, chain 2, and 3 double crochet. This is the entire pattern all the way through the blanket. The only thing that you do is you change your colors where you'd like to. We skip over our 3 double crochet, and then we just work a single crochet in the top chain of the first chains in that first in our first chain 2 that we made right here. Okay, so I'm going to pull my yarn up a little bit. It's stuck. Come on, pull. There we go. And this is how it looks now. I'll do one more row for you, but this is the pattern all the way through. And then I'll show you, as soon as I'm done here showing you this one more row, to make sure you have it, is I'm going to show you how to crochet the border using the same stitch. It works out so neat. You're already used to doing this pattern. You just got to make sure that you start off going the correct way. So we're going to chain 2, 1, 2. And then our 3 double crochet right in that bottom of the stitch there. 1, 2, 3. And then we skip over here. Single crochet, chain 2, and 3 double crochet. 2, 3. Again, skip over here. And it's so nice because you don't have to have a hard time finding your stitches. You just work right into that chain 2 space. And this blanket works up so nice and quick. This is a nice one to be able to watch a movie with the family and make something pretty. 1. Of course, it takes more than a movie to make. I'm not that fast. And then we'll work a single crochet in the last one. Okay, that is the whole pattern. See, the sides you're going to say, oh, it doesn't look like a straight. It really is. I will show you in a second. I will show you how they straighten out, and it all works out. But what I like is you start to get this texture. I don't know if you can see it, but this little texture starts to show up. And if I turn it over, you have the same texture on the other side, just from how you're working things. And it's just such a beautiful yarn with this pattern. So this is how this is. Now I'm going to show you. This is the actual blanket here that I'm trying to finish. I have my yarn all in a mess every single time I try and show you folks something. So I worked each skein. I've used 2 skeins. This is what's left of the second skein of this Breathe. This is what's left of the second skein of Alabaster, which is white. And this is what's left of the second skein of Sandbar, which is tan. I'm choosing to do the border in tan because I'm carrying, because I'm putting a border on, I'm being lazy and I'm carrying the yarn up the side. And if you look closely, I have a few yarn ends I got to weave in yet, not many. I only had the beginning yarn end, and then each skein as you join it, but then I only have where this one ends, which is up 3/4 of the way up the blanket. But if you look how I've done this, I have not pulled this tight. The yarn is not squunching up the blanket, and it's not so loose that I'm not going to be able to crochet over it. When I crochet, I'm going to be crocheting over these yarn ends, and in this case there's 2 of them. And there's 2 here, there's 1 here. So you just make sure you catch them both in there, and you won't be able to see, nobody will notice, nobody will know that you haven't weaved in a million yarn ends. So up here, I'm 3/4 of the way up the blanket here. And this is where I finally had to change yarn. And so I have this end to weave in, and this end to weave in yet. Okay? And it looks like this end here. Now this is where I ended. I just pulled my yarn through the last loop. Here's the last loop right here. Now, depending on what color you wanted to use, you could certainly do the border in this color. You could do it in white, or you could do it in tan, whichever color you wanted to do it in. I had worked this way, so this is the way I was going. So I keep working the same direction as I was working, okay? When you do the border. So I'm going to pull this out again. Now, I left my tan attached. My white I cut off because I'm not going to use it anymore. And my Breathe, I cut that off. I'm going to weave that in. So we're going to throw this aside. I have my what did I call it? Sandbar. Sandbar is here, all attached yet. So rather than start in a corner, I could absolutely join right in this corner and start from this corner. I could absolutely do that. But I'm choosing to start where my sandbar is because I really don't feel like weaving in more yarn. Okay? Call me lazy. So anyway, so I'm going to start right here. All right? I'm just going to pull up a loop like that. See that? I'm going to just chain 1 and kind of get that snug. So I'm in here now. So now what I'm going to do is right where I'm at on the side. I'm just going to start here. Yes, I should weave in this other yarn end here before I even start. And I do have, notice how I went around this yarn? I captured that when I went through the spot right there. Okay, so I'm going to chain 2, just like I did with the straight box stitch. I'm going to do the same stitch. So chain 2 and 3 double crochet in the same stitch. And we're going to make sure that we catch any yarn that we've carried up the side. So there's 1 double crochet, 2, 3. And you often wonder, where do I put the next stitch? Where is the next stitch placement? Well, that's pretty easy. Right where the yarn, I should say the rows begin and end. That sounds like a good way to word it. Right here. Okay, so I'm going to make sure when I insert my hook to do my single crochet, I go around that yarn, do my single crochet, my chain 2, and my 3 double crochet. And actually, you're going to work this all the way around and join it with a slip stitch back here. We'll join it back here to the, I have to think about how I need to join that. I'll write it up in the directions because I haven't figured that one out yet. And I'm going to get this tail out of the way. So our next spot we're going to jump to is this right here. This is the next spot because it's at the base of a row. Do you see that? So we're going to go right here, single crochet, and then we're going to chain 2 and 3 double crochet right in that spot. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to go to the next spot right here. Single crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. And I'm just going to be working this all the way around. Okay? And so that's starting to look really nice. So, and I'm going to add probably, I don't know how many rounds I'm going to do yet. If I'm just going to do 1 or 2, probably 2. I have to think about when you get to the bottom, you're going to have to do a slip stitch right into the, right here where the box stitches. You're going to, right into the same chain stitch, you're going to do a slip stitch right into here when you end. Okay. And then when you, you'll do a slip stitch, and then we're going to be working into our chain 2 spaces because we're going to turn it, and then we're going to work back the other way, and you'll be working into the chain 2 spaces just like you were and in the other round. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to take you back here and make sure we end it and make sure we can start it to make sure it looks okay. All right. Okay, let's talk more about the border. I have my yarn ends all weaved in now, except for the tan, the sandbar it's called. And this is the side that I ended on with the sandbar. And I could have started in this corner, but I'm choosing to just start right here. It doesn't really matter where you start and end on the sides and on the top or bottom, okay? So this is the corner that we ended on when we came across our row. We ended with our single crochet right here. And this happens to be the same side because I was changing yarn every 4 rows. It made everything even, so all of my yarn ends are carried up on one side on this blanket. And then, of course, I ended with my sandbar on this side. So then I'm going to be able to work on the same side right back up and over. So just as you did with the rows, when you turn the blanket, we're going to turn the blanket. And we're going to work back. So we worked this way. So now we're going to work back, up and back, and work around the whole blanket. And then when we get back here, just as you did when you ended the row, instead of a single crochet, we're just going to do you could do a single crochet, but I'm just going to slip stitch back into the first stitch. So the same stitches we're going to do for the straight box stitch all the way around for our border because it creates such a nice little scallop. Okay. And I chose to use the sandbar color. So when you're working around the yarn that was carried up, make sure that you work around it. So I'm going to put my hook in this first hole right here. It's in between, actually this one. I'm going to do this hole right here. All right. Whoop. And I got to take my yarn, bring it through. And I went over the yarn. And then it's going to yarn over and then just pull it tight. That just kind of gives me a nice foundation to start with. Okay. So now it would be like pretending that you're starting with your chain 2 and then your 3 double crochet right in the same spot. So here we're going to go 1, 2. And like we're pretending that we're starting a row, except we're going to start around the blanket. And then we're going to yarn over and do our 3 double crochet, making sure that you work over that yarn that you carried up the side. 2, 3. Okay. And like again, when you end the row round, I should say, you're going to end right here with a slip stitch or a single crochet, whichever you prefer. Then you'll turn the blanket and then you'll work back the other way, just like you did the rows. Okay. And you'll be working in your chain 2 spaces, just like I'm going to work when I get to this other end here. So we're going to go to the next one. And the next spot we're going to work is where in between these rows where they join. Okay. That's where we're going to be working. Right here is our space. So we're going to insert our hook, make sure we go around the yarn that we carried up, do our single crochet, and then our chain 2, and then we're going to do 3 double crochet right in that same row. So here we go, 1, whoops, then I have to grab that yarn, didn't I? 2, 3. Now I'm going to jump over to the next spot, this right in between where the row starts and stops, and right here is the spot. So we'll do our single crochet, our chain 2, 1, 2, and our 3 double crochet, all in that same spot. Oh, my yarn is stuck. Hold on. There we go. What am I at? I think I'm at my 3rd double crochet. Yes. And then we're going to jump right to this spot here. And we'll do our single crochet, 1, 2, and then our 3 double crochet. Boy, I'm having a hard time with my yarn here tonight, tangling up on me. 2, 3. And then we're going to work in this corner space right here. You can either work in that single crochet stitch you ended in, or what they're right below here. And I'm going to go right below here. It's easy to get in. Our single crochet, chain 2, and then 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3. Now, does this look familiar to you? It makes it look now just like you're working the rows. Here is your 3 double crochet that you're going to skip, and you're going to work around the post for the chain 2 space. You're going to work in that space the same way that you've been working the straight box stitch the whole time. Hopefully this is making sense now to what we're doing. Okay, so we're going to go right in here, single crochet, chain 2, and 3 double crochet. So when we get to the other side, we're going to work in that corner stitch, and I'm going to do 1 single crochet just to hold it here for a second. Okay, so I'm going to work this all the way around. This is how it looks right now. And then I'm going to do another round, turn it when I get to this other, when I do my slip stitch here, I'll turn it and then work back the other way so that I can work just right on top of my straight box stitches. That one's really easy to work. You can see all your stitches exactly where to place them. Okay, so when we get to the other end here, you'll work right in this top spot here, this chain, the chain 2 space. You'll work your corner stitches right there. And then when you work down the side, you'll have another stitch placed right here, and another one placed right here. Okay, and you keep going down the side. In the bottom, I don't like it, but it's how it is. We'll have 1 stitch right here, one straight box stitch cluster, I should say. And then this is where your stitches were that you worked the first row with. And I actually went in the bottom of the stitch row here, each one. I don't know, I suppose, yeah, I gotta look here, I gotta look. Oh, you got a corner stitches here, and you're gonna work on the bottom of each one. So bottom of each one. And you're gonna go across, and wherever you worked your stitches into the stitch coming up this way, I just worked in the stitches on the other side. And you do have a little bit of a hole, but it does kind of get covered up a little bit because you have so many stitches worked in the same hole. But anyways, when you get to this side again, get sick of me telling you, we'll do our slip stitch and single crochet, then we will turn it, and then we will do our chain 2, our 3 double crochet, and work back the other way. And then I'll do my slip stitch right on this side here, and then of course weave in your last yarn in, and you will be done with this pretty blanket. And I will have the free written pattern on the website, patternprincess.com. Please make sure you check it out. I hope you enjoyed this project. Take care.